Tonight on Haunted Homes, we investigate reports of a haunting in Newcastle.
It was actually a solid man standing in the doorway.
Where one member of the family is too terrified to sleep in her own home.
I've always... I have to calm myself down.
Can Mia Dolan, one of Britain's most sought-after psychics, help the Elvins?
Scarred, badly scarred. Looks like burns.
Oh my God, that is the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life.
I felt as if there was someone crouching, ready to jump.
That's so scary for me to believe.
Do you believe you've ever encountered a ghost? Maybe sensed a presence of some kind? Or witnessed a phenomena that you just can't explain? Well, if you have, you are certainly not alone, because thousands of us Brits claim that we've experienced the paranormal. In fact, in one recent survey, 1 in 3 of us claim that we've actually lived with a ghost. Tonight, we investigate an ordinary home in Newcastle. The family, who've lived there for 3 years, claim that they're being haunted by a poltergeist that's intent on making its presence known to their children.
Katrina and John Elvin have been happily married for more than 12 years. They have 3 children, Jonathan, Nathan and Jasmine. And they've all lived for 3.5 years in what should have been their dream home. But their dream has become a nightmare. Katrina is at her wit's end because of the strange experiences she's been having since she moved into her new house. And as the tape Katrina sent us shows, she's very distraught.
Experiences in this house, where would I start? The big one for me was, sorry. I've always... I have to calm myself down.
Having spent the last 3.5 years meticulously decorating her home, Katrina fears that she and her family will be forced to move out.
When we first viewed the house, I was really excited. It had loads of potential. I knew the kids would be safe, yeah, you know, for playing out the front.
On moving in, Katrina claimed to have some disturbing experiences.
Katrina felt as if there was a presence constantly as soon as we moved in, type of thing. I'm sort of sceptical about the type of thing.
The first night, I heard the little one get up. I heard the little one come into the room, and basically, without even opening my eyes, I just pulled the cover back as if to say, well, in you get. And the little one didn't get in the bed. So I thought, he's in a new house. He's probably wandered in, thought, where am I? And wandered back out. So got out of bed, went to investigate, and he was actually fast asleep.
So, if Nathan was fast asleep, who was the mystery man?
One particular night in this house, I'd woke up early hours of the morning and saw a solid man. He was standing in the doorway of the bedroom looking towards the bed. I was petrified. The room was silent, but I could hear my heartbeat. Obviously, he was actually closer to the kids' bedrooms than I was, and I was frightened, you know, it could cause some harm. I repeatedly closed my eyes, opened them, still there, closed my eyes, opened them, gone. Just vanished.
But Katrina wasn't the only person in the house who claimed to have witnessed this late-night visitor. More worryingly for a parent, she says the figure was also watching her 12-year-old son, Jonathan.
He's often talked about a man upstairs. The man that comes in my room. The man who watches me when I play on the computer.
We used to say that a man used to stand at the end of the bed, which is obviously where the cupboard is. And he would never go to sleep without the cupboard door shut. But of a morning time, he would come through and he'd say, Daddy, the cupboard door's opening.
Even more disturbing for Katrina was what 5-year-old Nathan said he'd experienced.
Nathan went to walk out of the room, stopped on the spot. He was asked what was the matter, because he was just basically looking through the doorway down the top passage. He couldn't speak. He was literally frozen, stuck to the spot, and that lasted a good few minutes. When we calmed Nathan down, he said that he saw the monster man, as his actual words. This apparently walked out of my bedroom, walked down the passage on the top landing. He was really shook up about it.
I was still very sceptical because I've not actually sort of witnessed anything or you know, sort of heard anything myself.
Distraught that John didn't believe what the rest of the family were experiencing, Katrina set up the cameras we gave her to record a video diary to prove to John that there definitely is activity in the house.
Bedtime, this time of night, the time of night when I don't feel so good. I don't look forward to going to bed some nights.
Katrina's anxious mood appears to be rubbing off on the children as they find it hard to settle down for the night. John does one last check.
I sense things. I get woke up through the night. Nothing visually to be seen, but a very frightening feeling.
With the rest of the family asleep, Katrina is already up again.
I'm sitting in the kitchen, pitch black, which is very, very brave for me. On the off chance I might pick something up. This was scary for me to.
The next day, the kitchen camera had recorded nothing out of the ordinary. However, Katrina found something disturbing on the camera set up in her daughter's bedroom. Although very faint, Katrina is certain that she hears a sinister voice saying, "Don't touch me." But is that enough to convince John that there is activity in the house?
It wasn't so much as what he said, it was the way that he said it. Was like, "Don't touch me." That was the point where I said, yeah, maybe there is something going on, type of thing. Obviously, I've got kids to sort of think of, and my wife who has been suffering from sort of these occasions for a while. It's obviously affecting her, so it scares me in that sense that it's affecting, or could affect, the rest of my family. You know?
At the end of the day, this is our house. And at the minute, I feel as though I'm sharing it with other people.
Katrina's took a job doing night shift simply because she has a problem with sleeping. There's going to be some point where it's going to get too much, and we would have to make a decision to either move or get it resolved.
It's no surprise that Katrina and John Elvin are distraught. They say they're sharing their home with a spirit they call the Monster Man, and that he's ruining their lives. They want him out forever. Things are so bad that Katrina's taken to working night shifts so as to avoid sleeping in her own bedroom. They are desperate, and they've called in the Haunted Homes team for help.
Mia Dolan, one of Britain's most sought-after psychics, heads up the team.
A psychic is somebody who covers all areas of paranormal. It's a paranormal consultant. There is no area that I don't work or don't touch on. I work with missing people. I work with people who are bereaved, people who are scared. It even goes into commercial work involving the hiring of people in key personnel places. I get so many calls from people who think they've got hauntings. Probably 70 to 80% haven't got a ghost. And then just occasionally, you get a live one. You shouldn't be scared of ghosts. Be cautious. But if it's a bad ghost, they can infect you. They can break you down, they can make you ill. You need help. Some of the activity that indicates you've got a haunting is extreme temperature changes, smells that come from nowhere, overpowering and then go again, lights and orbs that have no logical explanation, bangs and noises that don't make sense, and of course, if you see a ghost in the room. People say to me, "Oh, I think it's haunted, but if it's a child, I'll keep it because I'm not scared of a child, or I'm not scared if it's not a bad one." It's not a dog, and if somebody is stuck on Earth, they need to go home. So no, you cannot live with a ghost. They are not part of the furniture and fittings.
If Mia decides that a home is haunted, she'll attempt to remove the ghost through a clearing process.
My job is to pull the spirit in. I act as if like a magnet, so I drag it to me and hold it. It's actually my guide that takes it over. A guide is a guardian angel, or whatever name you want to give it, everyone's got one. Mine's called Eric. It's Eric that opens a door to the other side.
One of the techniques Mia uses is a spiritual practice called psychometry.
Psychometry is picking up information from objects. If somebody's held something a lot, or used something, or worn something, then it's going to soak up the vibe anyway.
Mia studies the family's most cherished belongings to get more information about the owners.
It's a great way to get a feel of a property you're going to. It's like the first clues.
It's time for Mia to assess some of the personal items belonging to the family. She hones in on two in particular.
I'm getting images of like a lounge, and pictures are moving, things are swinging, and a strong smell of smoke. And the smoke is not, it's not as if the house is burning, but the smoke brings fear. It's very uncomfortable. This sits near the bookend. It's in the same room, and the smoke, once again the smoke. Very uncomfortable feeling.
Mia says the image of flames and smell of smoke are invading her consciousness.
There's something live in this house, something's happening. It's not just a case of people being scared. We've got a haunting.
Psychic Mia Dolan has now examined some of the family's possessions, and she says she's already picking up on a strong sense of fire and of burning coming from the objects. Clairvoyants and psychics believe that they have the power to help ghosts trapped here with us move on to the spirit world. But that's often not without a fight. Armed with crucial information about the family, Mia says she's now determined to find out whether or not the Elvins really are being haunted by a ghost that they call the Monster Man.
Mia is driven to the Elvins' house. Apart from the psychometry, she has no prior knowledge of the family, the house, or even its location. Mia has been keen to make the visit, convinced that evidence of the family's suffering will make itself known.
A lot of friction in this house. Distress. The whole house feels heavy. Like the beginning of a big storm. Just look in here. Here we have light anomalies. Running on the stairs, bangs upstairs, sounds of doors closing. It's not the centre though, just activity. Look around.
Mia feels drawn to the upstairs of the house.
Going up the stairs. Just heard something breathe in my ear, like a but dark, heavy. It's unexpected.
These kinds of sensations are a sign that Mia is getting close to the centre of the problem.
Once again, let's dispel all myths of haunted places being grim. This is very pretty. Many sleepless nights. Sadness. Not the centre of the activity, but these are the people that care and trying to make it better. Just getting tighter still. It's almost as if the air's getting thick like a soup. Blue room, obviously a boy's room. God, what an awful feeling.
Mia believes this has to be the centre of the haunting.
So this thing likes people to get upset, it likes to cause trouble. That's not a good sign. I really want to meet the family, and I need to see how badly affected they are by this before we go any further.
Mia is accompanied by our very own paranormal investigator, Mark Webb.
I became a paranormal investigator back in 1996, and over 9 years, my fascination hasn't dwindled at all. Paranormal investigators will go to reputedly haunted locations and try to capture some form of proof of the existence of the paranormal.
Skeptic Chris French, professor of paranormal psychology, will look for a rational explanation.
I actually used to be a believer in the paranormal, quite a strong believer. And over the years, the reason I've become more sceptical is because I've learned more and more about human psychology and the ways in which we can actually fool ourselves, the way we misremember, the way that we all tend to perceive things the way we want them to be. And it's as I've come to appreciate the way that that operates, that I think that that provides probably a better explanation for allegedly paranormal activity.
Our experts will be involved in a vigil at the family's home. In this, Mark will use various techniques to detect the presence of a spirit.
On a paranormal investigation, we tend to do all different experiments. We'll use trigger objects, which are items which we'll place onto a piece of paper. We draw around them. Obviously, it's in a room that's locked. No one else is allowed in there. And if we get any movement from those, that would indicate to us that either you've got a very strong draft, which we can actually measure, or something paranormal could have occurred in that area.
No paranormal investigator is complete without an artillery of detection equipment.
A motion sensor is a pair of devices that we will place facing each other. They then send an infrared beam, and if anything then breaks that beam between the two, it will activate an audio alarm. A mini-disc recorder, paranormal investigators use these to try and capture EVP, or electronic voice phenomena. Thomas Edison actually said that you could capture the voices of ghosts on tape. And basically it's been used by numerous paranormal investigators to try and capture something that the human ear can't hear. Thermometers or digital thermometers are all used by paranormal investigators. This is because it's claimed that when a spirit is present, the temperature will actually drop. So we do tend to use thermometers in locations to try and pick up on these big fluctuations in temperature.
Chris has his own very important role to play.
I see my role at the vigils as being twofold. First of all, if there was any possibility of some kind of genuine paranormal activity, then I really want to be in there, I want to witness it, I want to be able to say that I've seen that with my own eyes and that we've recorded stuff on camera, and that would all be incredibly exciting. My secondary role will be to actually look at the way that the other people who are involved in the vigil actually interact with each other. A lot of the kinds of experiences that are going to be reported will be down to suggestion, and basically people kind of getting each other psyched up. And it'll be interesting to see if that is what actually does happen.
Mark believes having a skeptic on board will be beneficial to the investigation.
There are skeptics out there who are completely closed-minded. No matter what proof we get, it's not paranormal. They will find any sort of rational explanation to fit the bill. There are certain skeptics out there, which Chris is one of those, who will listen to what you have to say, will take it on board, and if he doesn't know what it is, he will say he doesn't know what it is.
If we could actually prove that paranormal forces really did exist, that would be such a fantastic scientific breakthrough and such a kind of a contribution to human knowledge and helping us to understand our place in the universe and all those big issues. It would be absolutely fantastic. The problem is the evidence just isn't particularly convincing at the moment.
As Chris and Mark arrive, Katrina is keen to show them where Nathan says he saw the monster man.
He said that he saw what he called a monster man.
Where was Nathan when that actually happened?
Nathan was actually originally behind yourself where the bunk beds were, and he'd crossed over the room practically directly into the doorway, and he said that it came out of our room and walked down the passage.
Next, they visit Katrina and John's room.
Basically, just to the doorway there was a full, solid man standing.
Was the man actually facing you, or was he facing away?
He was standing there, a very tall man. What puzzled me was I could see he was a solid man, but he had no facial features.
In this room, Katrina believes she had the unnerving sensation of being touched by something she couldn't see.
And I actually had the only way I could see physical touch, and I actually had the back of my nightie twisted and pulled, but only pulled very slightly. I'm not saying, you know, I was yanked out of bed, but I mean it was pulled to the point where I sort of like just gently moved with it, as if to say, you know, what's going on here. And that's when I actually heard a woman's voice, and she was saying, "This is the boy. This is the boy." Now at the time I thought, you know, who's this and who's this boy we're talking about? But that's another experience I've had in here.
After all the experts have completed their investigations, it's finally time for Mia to put the last piece in the puzzle by meeting the Elvins face to face.
The very first thing I got was this feeling of pressure, and it's always a sign to me. If it feels heavy, like before a storm, you know something's going on. And I went into your room, and that was the feeling of being hit by sounds, visions, and you sleeping and waking up. You know, like when you wake up, and you're wide awake because you heard something, you've seen something, and you're on your own, your heart's racing, and you don't believe her.
It's not so much I don't believe her, it's more a case of... It has become quite frequent that I tend to think that it could be down to something else.
When I left that room and went into the boys' room, that was the worst, because I had a visual image of all hell breaking loose in that room.
Having said that the boys' room is at the centre, Mia's convinced that there is only one entity capable of causing this kind of chaos.
Everything you've got here points to poltergeist activity.
Mia explains to the family that poltergeist activity is said to be far more destructive than typical paranormal happenings.
What I think you've got here is something that's deliberately trying to scare you. Because everything that's happening is frightening.
You're saying poltergeist, is that down to one spirit, or is that more? Or...
Right at this moment, don't know. Because I'm only half open as a psychic, and I won't fully open until we go to clear it.
Mia explains why she thinks Katrina has been targeted.
I should imagine in the last couple of weeks, even you have started to doubt that there might be something going on here, because you've had some weird stuff. But it gets more feed off you because you get more scared.
How is that bad?
It's reaction. I, as a psychic, I'm very excited. But ultimately, the reason I'm here is to get rid of it. And so tonight we do the visual and we look for it. Tomorrow we get rid of it. So you won't spend one more night all on your own until it's gone.
The prospect of finally being free of the spirit that has tormented her for so long is too much for Katrina.
Okay.
Mia's obviously touched a raw nerve. So what has Katrina made of her findings?
Very surprised on how much she picked up. A bit scared of the word poltergeist that she used. I wasn't expecting that.
I was very surprised the amount of information that she gave were, as regards to each room in the house, it was fantastic.
I have high expectations for tonight. I really think we're going to get something on tape or on some of our equipment. And I certainly expect the people who live here to experience things, because this is a hive of poltergeist activity. So good for us, scary for them.
So, what is it that's making John and Katrina Elvin's life a living nightmare? Well, this isn't a job for daytime investigation. In the dead of night, in fact, at the stroke of midnight, our team will try to locate the Monster Man. What is he? Who is he? And why is he there?
The night of the vigil has arrived, and it's time for Mark to set up his equipment.
We're going to set up a pair of motion sensors. We're hoping that by placing these here, should anything break the beam, it will cause the alarm to go off, and we will be able to come down and monitor what's gone on.
Mark also sets up a thermal imaging camera which records temperature changes that some believe can indicate paranormal activity. With the setup completed, Mark takes advantage of a lull in the proceedings to check out the Elvins' recording.
They believe they can hear a voice which tells them, "Don't touch me." Now, on playing it back, I'm not so sure that's actually what this voice says. I've actually picked up two different phrases, maybe. One I've discarded now was "John, don't speak." Now I believe it actually says "Don't try and talk." Either way, it's a negative phrase that I don't believe would be mentioned by anyone else in the house.
If it's not anyone in the house, who or what is it?
This could be a voice from the next door neighbours, it could be a voice from downstairs, but I don't think that it is a voice from downstairs. It could be the voice of someone that's passed over. We can't say for definite that it is, but we also can't say for definite that it isn't.
Having heard the voice, Mark seems enthusiastic about recording some paranormal activity tonight. But what does our skeptic, Chris French, think?
Maybe people will actually think they see things and think they hear things. What will be interesting will be to see whether we can actually pick any of this up with the actual recording apparatus that we've got.
For the vigil, we'll position night vision cameras upstairs in the boys' room and in Katrina and John's bedroom. At precisely midnight, Mia, Mark and the Elvins take their places, whilst Chris monitors the house from the Winnebago, the nerve centre of tonight's vigil.
If you experience anything, just please tell me.
All appears quiet until suddenly, about 20 minutes after the vigil begins, Katrina says she can see things behind John.
Both sides of John now.
Okay, I've still got a big one actually then.
Mia and Katrina claim to be witnessing a paranormal display of lights.
Oh my God. That is the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life.
However, the cameras and sensors in the room don't seem to be able to pick anything up, nor does John.
Can you not feel anything, John?
Whilst Katrina's transfixed by the light, Mia seems to have sensed another energy force at the other end of the room.
It's going up though. What's upstairs? What's above us?
Our bedroom.
It's your room, isn't it?
Less than an hour into the vigil, and the energies in the room appear to be hotting up. Mia says that something strong is drawing her upstairs. She decides to investigate further, taking Mark with her. Katrina and John are left to fend for themselves downstairs.
First time in my life I've seen something that wasn't like the staticky, just clink, 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 like all over. That actually came forward, that you could actually see that come away from the wall.
Mia and Mark take watch from the hallway so they can monitor all the main psychic areas.
It's the centre of the place. My heart rate's gone right up. I just saw something going in the doorway.
If this is a poltergeist, as Mia suspects, she says it'll try and outwit her. Mia believes the spirit has already moved on somewhere else. So she sends Mark in to see if he can sense anything. But almost immediately, Mia claims that something is right next to her.
Somebody was just standing here.
They're convinced that the poltergeist is flitting from room to room, but still our cameras can't pick it up. They decide to investigate what they think is the absolute centre of the activity, the boys' room. Mia is immediately drawn to its furthest corner.
I'm actually feeling like I want to stay away from that area of the room.
It's like a denseness.
Yeah.
Heavy. Sorry. Did you see that? Did you see that?
Yes.
He's following us, Mark.
Yeah.
If I get Katrina and bring her back upstairs, right?
Yeah.
Because it's no good us taking them. We've got to see if they can experience the same thing.
Yeah.
And if you take John out to Winnie Baker, he can actually watch her coming upstairs.
Yeah, we'll monitor what you're
up to.
John and Mark make their way to the Winnebago, as Mia thinks it's more likely that the ghost will appear to Katrina. And as soon as Katrina enters the boys' room, her nerves get the better of her.
I won't put washing away in this one through the day. I won't come and make a bed through the day sometimes. I avoid this one like the plague.
Mark and I both saw a man in the corner.
Right.
Hold my hand, you can.
I have. Seriously. I get this quite often in this one. It's just like a instant bloody like get out. Do you know what I mean? It's
yeah, pretty shaking. Well done, you're still here, but this is the last time, you see. The last time you're going to experience in this house.
Not saying something I'm not, I know.
Katrina is finding the situation more and more intense.
Is that corner darkened?
Yep, we just pulsed.
Oh. It's just darkened, hasn't it? Yeah. I'm not saying I saw a shape or anything, but it's just darkened.
It's pulsing.
What does that mean?
Well, often before something comes, it pulses darker. It's like
It's practically jet black in the corner. Was it the man that was here?
Are you standing there with your eyes closed? Or are you looking?
You know what it is? I really don't want them. I'm frightened I want to meet him. Basically.
Just for a few seconds, okay? Just for a few seconds.
Was it the man that was here?
Yeah.
Right. Come on, then we'll go over there. I mean, this is the last time, isn't it?
Yep, the last time.
It's sort of something that's sort of like constantly moving.
You got to just tell me. Last thing I want to do is just stand in the hallway for a couple of minutes. Well done on coming upstairs. I know you didn't want to, but I think it helps, you know, on closure. But from a personal point of view, and Mark as well, that's pretty amazing for us. I'm interested to see what, you know, Chris, our skeptic, the professor guy, I'd like him to walk around here on his own. Because I'm damn sure he won't think it's normal. No offence. Let's go get it.
But before Mia can get Chris into the house, John, who's so intrigued by the effect the boys' room has had on everyone else, insists on going up first.
The darkness, the actual point in which it's like really black, is actually quite a big shape. I felt as if there was someone crouching, turning, ready to jump.
Finally, our hardened skeptic is allowed into the house. The others watch from the Winnebago.
This is the boys' room, and this is the one that Katrina certainly finds the most kind of oppressive and frightening room. And that's the cupboard over there in the corner that seems to be the source of so many of the problems. I'm going to stand here for a while and just see whether I can get any of that kind of sense that they get of what it is that's scaring them, but I don't really expect to be honest. Now, in some ways, it would be quite interesting to, you know, to feel some of the kind of sensations that they were feeling. No, I'm not getting anything. I'm not seeing any lights. I'm not getting any sense of any crouching figures. This is another room I'd be quite happy to spend the night in and go to sleep in.
He's cooking at me.
There's a challenge.
He said that on national telly. He's spending the night.
Oh, he would though, but he'd just pass out right now. He's desperate to go to sleep. That's why he keeps saying it.
The vigil has now come to an end, and Mia, John and Katrina reflect on the events of a very long evening.
Well, we've spent hours and hours in this house tonight, and it must be dawn at any time. It's been a very eventful night for me. I don't know how you feel.
I'm happy with what's happened tonight, mainly for the reason that you've confirmed practically most details of what I've felt and saw in this house. So obviously I'm happy that way, that to me...
You're not going mad?
Yeah.
It's actually going on.
I mean, I've always been sort of a sceptic. I'm just as sceptical as anybody, basically, the next man. I've certainly never, ever felt anything like that. But in saying that, I'm still, how can I put it, yet to be sort of persuaded that there's sort of anything there type of thing.
I've seen enough, and I know you've got something here. So for me, tomorrow is very important, and tomorrow we do the clearing. And for you, John, even though you're not sure what to think, the nicest thing is that your wife won't be scared anymore.
Yes.
Nor will your children. And that must mean an awful lot.
Very much so.
A good night's work.
Overall, I have to say, I'm not convinced that anything paranormal was happening last night. But at the end of the day, if Katrina and her family think that paranormal stuff's going on, then hopefully by Mia taking part in her rituals to get rid of this, then if that makes them feel better, then that's what really matters.
Yesterday night's vigil was very interesting. We had both myself and Mia witnessing a visual apparition.
I still don't know what it's here. I don't know why it's here or what it's trying to do. And I'm not going to find out until I open up properly and bring it in.
But how are the Elvins feeling after their 5-hour vigil?
I don't mind admitting I was petrified.
It was more relief on my behalf more than anything else. It wasn't a relief for myself as such, it was a relief for Katrina. I could sense there'd been like a weight off her shoulders, taken away off her shoulders.
Tonight, hopefully everything is going to stop.
Our investigation team spent many eventful hours at John and Katrina Elvin's home. But what you saw didn't end there. What's gone unreported up until now are the many technical problems we encountered. Interference on our equipment, battery failures, and the fact that one of our crew members saw something that frightened them so much they weren't prepared to talk about it. None of that impressed Dr. Chris French. He says that none of it amounts to any evidence of the paranormal, but everyone else who was there that night disagrees. Mia and Katrina claim they saw strange lights, and when Mia was upstairs with our paranormal investigator Mark Webb, they both say they saw the ghost in the boys' bedroom. Mia now believes she has to confront the spirit in order to help it from this world into the next. Since time began, religious figures, tribal leaders and witch doctors have all had to deal with their community's fear when it's believed that a spirit has entered a home or a person. According to some, helping that spirit move from this world into the next is potentially hazardous. But tonight, that's exactly what Mia is about to attempt in a clearing ceremony.
The final stage is about to begin, and Mia says she will summon the poltergeist.
Now, what I'm going to do is, first of all, I'm going to find what's in the house. And I do this by opening up psychically and go and search for it. And then I'll draw it back to the room. You may experience things you might not. But ultimately, you're going to be okay. I'm here. So now I can visualise your stairs. Going up them. As I'm turning around and looking down the landing, I'm starting to see somebody by the cupboard. Not in the bedroom, then by the cupboard. It's a man. His clothes are very, very ragged. He's scarred, badly scarred. Looks like burns. He's looking at me as if daring me to be upset or uncomfortable. I'm going backwards down the stairs. He's coming down. Okay, he's in the room. There's a bad smell. A weird bad smell, like rotting smell. He's got the name Jack. He got burnt in somewhere he couldn't breathe, couldn't see. Very dark. It's a colliery. You've got connection with that. You're the connection, John. Was your grandfather in the mines? We've got to do the collieries.
As a boy, yes.
Yeah. The same time that your grandfather was there, this man was here. But he's not just a colliery worker. He either owned it or he was in charge of it. There was a lot of people died then. When he died, a lot of people died. He's just full of rage because he believes he didn't have his life. He should have had more of a life. He's coming down. It's as if he's sitting at the end of the table. He's screaming and tell them something. Tell them I didn't do it. Tell them I didn't do it. He was blamed, or he feels blamed, for the fire, and it wasn't him. Find out and tell the truth. Find out. It's not you he's screaming at. He's saying tell them, meaning everybody. I'm getting stam. I was like stam food, stam stop. You know. That's why he's here. You know. All my hair's started going around.
Mia seems to have a struggle on her hands.
Oh, sorry. Do it.
She needs to send it over now.
De profundis clamave ad de Domini exaudi vocum.
Mia recites a Latin prayer for the dead.
Deprecationis miae, si iniquitas observabus, Domini quae sustenabi. God.
Mia believes she has sent over the presence and that the sensations of burning she had during the psychometry were true.
It's sort of described, you know, when people say how when people have a heart attack, they tend to go numb on one side and one side of their face.
No, he was pushing into you. I didn't want to say it. And then when it made me jump, it's because he went like that at me. Do it. And that made me jump, but he was against you. The main thing here is that he still believes on the day he died and the days after this he died, his name was used badly. He wants his name cleared. He wants it known that he did the right thing. It wasn't his fault.
With the clearing completed and the spirit sent over, how does Katrina feel?
I think this might actually be the only way that John might actually eventually say, yes, I think there's something in it. And I'm sure over the next few days I'll know the difference literally by, you know, the senses I've had, whether that's just walking in the kids' room and not feeling that dread. So I'm pretty looking forward to like a closing of a book.
During the clearing, Mia claims she contacted a ghost called Jack and discovered that he died in a fire at a colliery. She says that Jack was angry because he was blamed for that accident after his death. And while our researchers were unable to confirm that specific story, they did uncover reports of several major mining accidents locally.
The Elvins were desperate.
I've always... I have to calm myself down.
They've had 3 long years of sensing an unwelcome visitor in their home.
I was petrified.
And he would never go to sleep without the cupboard door shut. But every morning time he'd say, Daddy, the cupboard door's opening.
He couldn't speak. He was literally frozen, stuck to the spot.
There's going to be some point where it's going to get too much and we would have to make a decision to either move or get it resolved.
Our experts came to help.
Tomorrow we get rid of it. Okay?
And spent an eventful night in the house.
Oh my God. That is the strangest thing I've ever seen in my life.
Did you see that?
Yes.
He's following us, Mark.
Yeah.
Mia's clearing ceremony revealed some interesting information.
He's scarred, badly scarred. You've got connection with that. You're the connection, John.
But did it remove the ghost? One month has passed since the clearing, and life has improved for the Elvins.
Since Mia was here, the whole atmosphere of the house, I would say, has been definitely different. I certainly don't have any negative feelings about particular rooms that I had before. I feel safe in my house.
The atmosphere in the household's really perked up. You can tell in Katrina herself the way she goes about daily things and that she's more upbeat and everything. And the kids have seen the change in her too. The kids are much more playful now.
I've noticed a huge difference in myself. I'm not so paranoid about doing things or walking around my house. I'm a lot happier. This room was the big issue in the house, but I can't spend time in here. I've sat and watched Nathan play on the computer in here, which, you know, to me is like a massive, massive thing. So I'd definitely say there's a difference in myself.
But is John still a sceptic?
After what has happened, I'm more non-sceptical than sceptical now.
Katrina is no longer terrified and has given up the job she took to avoid being home at night.
I would like to say a huge, huge thank you to Mia. If it wasn't for her, things would still be carrying on. If it wasn't for her, you know, we wouldn't have found out who this person was. helpless person over, and obviously this could have went on, you know, for years to come.
Katrina and John Elvin say that they and their children are now rid of the monster man that was terrorising their home. Family life is returning to normal. Katrina's even given up those night shifts that she used to use as an excuse not to sleep in her own bed. So, one happy family and one ghost-free home. According to reports, paranormal activity is on the increase in Britain. Would you know what to do if you couldn't explain light bulbs exploding, ornaments shifting, or the dog growling for no apparent reason? Haunted homes, it seems, are not just the stuff of Hollywood movies. They could be in streets like yours, in ordinary houses occupied by people just like you. Sleep well. Good night.